Good morning, I'm Julio Saenz along with Mauricio Riveros. Today on Be Inspired, we'll introduce you to Virginia Smith, a woman who is helping small businesses grow and succeed in upstate New York.
We hope you will be inspired.
Celebrating leaders in Rochester's unique and vibrant business community, we'll meet entrepreneurs whose passion and perseverance have helped push through life's challenges. Join us as we share their stories and journeys to success. It's time to be inspired.
Virginia, thank you very much for being inspired. Our show that we created to inspire our community, to learn about businesses and have the opportunity to have people like you who are supporting businesses in general. So tell us, who is Virginia?
Sure. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here. I'm originally from Texas, and I made my way up to the East Coast with family when I was a preteen and ended up doing some undergraduate in Southern Virginia, and then I have my master's in public administration from the Syracuse University Maxwell School. But really throughout my life, I've been dedicated to community service. How can I help people? It started at a young age, just working in local community centers, and then moving up through the gamut. So I've done jobs such as helping run an indigent healthcare program in Texas. I worked with the Army Research Laboratory. I kind of chose different paths, but all really with the intention of how can I help people do what they're best at, or if they don't know what they're best at, how can I help them figure that out? So eventually that led me to my master's in public administration. I always knew that I was going to be working for the government in some particular capacity in some way. So after being with the Army and being with the county, I moved on to doing some consulting work with one of the top 5 accounting firms to see that side of work. One of our clients was the federal government. So I got to see that side of the coin and really see what the government needed from consultants versus what the government needed from their employees. But again, with the goal of how do we help the end user? How do we help the citizen of the United States? So from that, I went to a nonprofit, and I spent 5 years working for a community and economic development nonprofit over in central New York. And we were really focused on how do we embrace our community and have them stay there and grow the area in business and in housing and in economic development, knowing that really it's all of those pillars that allow people to stay. You add in workforce development, you add in big schools, but you have to have opportunities and places where people want to live and want to work and want to grow and want to play. So in that realm, we worked with some housing that needed additional help, right? It needed painting, or it needed shoring up, or something like that. So we worked with small local contractors. A guy who was really good at a hammer, super good at a hammer, or good at electricity, or a good roofer, but he did not know from Adam how to bill his services. He didn't know how to charge his customers. He didn't know how to pay his employees what he needed to pay. And there were many businesses like that. So we started a loan fund specifically targeted to these businesses to say, we want to help you, and we're not only just going to provide the money for you, but we're going to mentor you so that when you complete this job, you're going to make a profit. The people that you buy your supplies from are going to be paid on time. Your employees are going to earn a good living, and you're going to develop a project that you're proud of, and we're proud of as that nonprofit to say this happened in our community, and look how beautiful this home is, or look how beautiful this business storefront is. So now everybody will help to develop that pride. Okay, so from that I realized I wanted to get into the small business world. And so I moved to the Small Business Administration, which is where I am now, which is a federal agency that is solely dedicated. We are the only agency dedicated to helping small businesses in the United States. There are less than 900 of us across the country, and that's our only role. Many federal agencies also have small business liaison officers within the government agency itself, but that's all I do day in and day out, is I help small businesses. I help them through our resource networks and through a lot of the various programs that we have, but really that's the touch point, is how can we take our community and move it forward. And in the space I'm operating in, which is, it goes from small business, but that goes, in economic development, which then moves to community development, which again moves to pride and growth in our area.
And that's wonderful. What a story. You were able to touch the not-for-profit, then work in the government, and really combine those elements and really understand also how the private sector operates.
Right.
Having that multifaceted skills and all that is fundamental. What are the biggest challenges that you see in today's economy for small businesses? What are the biggest?
I think a couple things. Small businesses are, when they're ready to hire employees, are really struggling to find employees with the skill sets they're looking for. So I'm constantly hearing, how do I find someone who can help me take my business to the next level? I'm a one-person shop, and there's only 24 hours in a day, and they're probably working 23 of them, or waking up in the middle of the night thinking about that. So they need assistance, but maybe they're not having enough revenue to grow. So if they can't find a full-time employee, is there another assistance provider out there that maybe can help them figure out how to grow their market share so they then can provide a job for someone? You have those issues. Then you have a lot of the, I'm not sure that I want to borrow money. A lot of times they'll say, because they've really what we call bootstrapped. So they've gone into their savings, they've asked their friends or family for loans, they've maxed out their credit cards, they've purchased used equipment. I mean, lots of ways that you can develop a business without actually going for a loan. And they say, I'm not really ready to go for a loan because this is all my business, and I'm not sure that I want someone else to have a say in it. They don't understand the difference between a loan versus an equity. Or they may say, but I did all this with myself, and I just am not sure that I'm ready for that. And so we have to have discussions about, if you don't borrow money, that's fine, you're very successful, but you can elevate your business to another level if you are able to go into a new market, and you just need a little working capital for that. And we talk about that. Another struggle that businesses have is they just don't understand the lending community. They know what credit cards are, they know what cash is, and they know what a checking account is, but they don't understand business loans. So they don't understand when a lender says, what does it mean by character? They think, well, I'm funny. Well, no, that's not. A lender doesn't. The lender is wondering, are you going to repay your loan? If something goes bad in your business, are you going to repay your loan? So we have a lot of one-on-one discussions. We have a lot of classes that we teach with our resource partners, where we bring lenders and business advisors into the community and say, here's free local advice for people who are here who have helped businesses move forward. So we do that to kind of see that. So probably workforce development, funding, those are really the two big things. And the third thing is, how do they reach their target market? Okay, so businesses are very, very good at knowing who their customer is, right? They can say, it's men ages 45 to 55 with disposable income, or it's teenage girls who work on social media. But then they have to figure out, how do you get to that person to get your name in front of them? Because I believe it's 5 to 6 times or even more than that before you start to have name recognition, and you have to repeat that over and over and over again. So a lot of times we'll work with them and sort of say, okay, what's your marketing plan? How can we get you in front of other businesses to learn about your business and get your name out there? So we have small business contracting events. Well, we'll have businesses come and have a 10-minute introduction session with 50 large businesses in the room, who are either large businesses, government agencies, colleges, or universities who want to work with small businesses. So that's a way that we can open up their ability to find more markets for their product or service.
And sort of building on that question, and you may have answered it in the points you just made, but what would you say is the number one reason small businesses fail? Cash
flow, lack of cash. That is the absolute number one reason. And now why they have lack of cash can really vary in terms of putting too much inventory and not selling enough, or too much research and development and they haven't gotten their product out to sale. But it's 100% is they just don't have the cash to continue to pay their suppliers, pay their people, or even pay themselves. A lot of business owners don't even pay themselves for the first couple years.
And is the solution to that a line of credit or just managing inventory?
In the
It's a lot of
beginning,
things.
it's more of an individual basis, right? So I can say either one. Especially in the beginning, it's more about managing your entire business and where your cash flow is coming from. Lines of credit are truly short-term need. So I have a short-term need because I know that this inventory is coming in. I have a contract, or here's a better example. I'm a construction, right? I'm working construction and I need to buy all my supplies and all of the material to actually put together the project, but I'm not going to be paid for that project until I'm 50% done and it passes inspection and I clear all of my certifications. So I need a working capital line of credit for those time until I get paid, and then I immediately repay it back. So that's absolutely a cash flow crunch situation, but in general, you really have to look holistically at a business, which is why we work with all our partners to say, okay, it may not be just inventory. You thought it was inventory, but maybe you're actually a seasonal business and you didn't think about it in that capacity because you're not a traditional seasonal business.
Well, thank you so much, Virginia. When we come back, we'll hear more about the SBA and how it helps small businesses.
I just love when you highlight the concept of cash. Cash is king in any business. Industry is changing, economy is changing, the world is changing. Small businesses composition is not the more traditional things that we had in the past. Your administration, SBA, needs to adjust and change too, and trying to figure out how you will be supporting now more entrepreneurial, technology-based organizations. What is the new approach that the Small Business Administration is having with new entrepreneurs and capacity to really, focus in this new market that is happening online and technology?
So we are able to adapt fairly easily because at the end of the day, we're a service provider and the businesses need the services that we have. And what that means is we look at it in our three sort of C's is how we go about it. And the first C is capital. And when capital is loans. And what happens is we guarantee loans. A small business comes into a bank or credit union and says, I'm looking for funding. And our friends, the lenders, say, okay, great, but we're a little nervous. You're an IT company and you're just starting out. Or you're an IT company and you've been in business for a long time, but in order to get to where you are, you have a lot of equity partners. You have a lot of 1 or 2% owners in your company, right? So both of those things could make lenders nervous. So they come to SBA and ask for a guarantee. And then the federal government will then guarantee the small business loan, which then gives the bank a little more strength in what they want to do. And then they proceed with the loan, which is how we help with that economic factors. But specifically for technology, the loan funds really do fit that bill because it's really more about what is the product that you're producing? What are you going to be doing? And our partnership is with the lender. The lender believes in the business. The lender will provide the funding. We are sort of the icing that helps move that forward. Prior to them talking to the lender, we work with our resource partners to say, let's look at your projections. Let's look at your financials. Let's look at your business plan. Are you really going to hit that target market? Have you done a lot of good research? And with IT companies, especially in Rochester, so what's really interesting about Rochester, and I've been here about 6 years now, is when the big three went away, we continued to grow. And we continue to grow because this is such a vibrant community that all of those smart, intellectual, capital people stayed with their ideas and with their patents, and they started their businesses. And that's one of the reasons we continue to grow in this area. So we have to fulfill that need, and we have. Then the other C that we talk about is counseling and training. So we are our resource partners, which are the Small Business Development Center and SCORE. We also have a Women's Business Center in Buffalo, and we have a Veteran Business Outreach Center on the eastern side of the state. And they're really the force that does the one-on-one counseling. They can really sit down with a business from start to finish, whether they're really truly just starting a business or they're looking to divest, and they can help them throughout the process. And we have our trainings and our classes. And the third thing is government contracting. So you want to talk about IT. The government, any level of the government, whether it's state or municipal or county or the federal government, is always looking for more efficient and effective ways to do business. And if the economy is changing where we need to be more you need to sell on your smartphone. How many people are buying on smartphones now? They're not buying on the laptop computer anymore. You know, how many voice over IP, those hard lines, the economy is changing and we have to change with it for the needs of our citizens. So one of the ways that we do that is all of those levels of government are looking to partner with small businesses to help, again, grow the business itself, but also to provide the best services to their constituents. So they're always looking for IT. They're always looking for ways to do that. So back to those events where we have them introduce each other, we call them matchmakers. They're small business matchmakers. We host many of those throughout our area, and that's another way to kind of get that word out and say, it's who else can buy your IT service? Who else can think of it in that capacity?
Now, you touched on loans and getting a loan, and you know, you don't lend the money, what you do is back. So someone who is interested in getting a small loan for their business, you potentially could back the loan through the bank, but they would go to the bank. What's a good general rule for someone who's maybe watching the show and is thinking of starting a business for the percentage of cash they need to have versus the size of the loan? Is it 10%, 20%? Is there a steadfast rule?
There is not a steadfast rule. So what we always say is you want to start with who you have a relationship with first. And a business might say to you, oh, I don't have one. Well, okay, but you have a checking account typically, or you might have if you don't have a checking account, you might have a savings account, or you might have a credit card, or you might have a neighborhood lender, someone who knows you, who you can start the process with. And you want to develop a relationship with them. So knowing that you want to start a small business and you haven't started it yet, you're just sort of exploring the idea. You've created a widget that you have a patent on and you're really excited about it, but now that you're done the R&D, you actually have to make it and sell it. So we say start the relationship with the lender. Just whoever you feel comfortable with, get a recommendation from a friend or a family member, and just start the conversation. Introduce yourself, say, this is what I'm looking to do. You will have to have a business plan. That is a necessity. It never should ever get dust on it. It always has to grow and change with what your business is going to do, because the lender is going to say to you, what's your business plan?
And you guys can help them.
We absolutely. We have templates online. So if you don't have time to talk to someone, or just you prefer to do things on your own until you're ready for us, we have all kinds of templates. That's SBA.gov is a pretty easy website, and you just put in business plan searches and find that. And when they go to the lender, there's sort of 5 things that a lender wants to think about. And they're called the 5 C's of credit. The first is, we'll talk about character. Developing that relationship with the lender needs to trust you and you need to trust them. If you walk in the door and you don't get a good feeling that they want to help you, there are many lenders in this community, including nonprofit lenders, who do business loans. So the first step is, do you feel comfortable with them? Do you want to work with them? Do they want to work with you? And you'll know that pretty quickly. And the lender wants to know, do you have the character to repay your loan? You're starting up. How do they know that you really believe that and will follow through if something happens in your business and you still need to pay the lender, that you'll do that? So that's character. The second thing is collateral. Do you have a collateral that the lender would want to take? And a lot of startups don't. They don't have equipment, or they don't have real estate, or savings accounts that they want to come back with. So you have to think about what can I provide to the lender that they might be willing to use as collateral. And sometimes it's a person's house, Sometimes it's business assets like equipment if they happen to have it. Sometimes it's inventory. So exploring those options, because the lender is absolutely going to ask. A third thing is what we call credit. How much money do you need? And thinking about a real answer, and what I mean by that is you don't want to ask for too little and you don't want to ask for too much. You really want to take a look at your business projections, which again we can help with personally or online. We have lots of tools for that, to say this is the widget I created. I'm going to sell 10 this month and 20 next month and 30 next month, and that's how much money I'm going to bring in, right? And then that's how much money I need. And then they're going to ask for, what did you put in? Because a lender, they call it skin in the game. Sure. How much did you put in? And do you believe in your business enough that you put that money in? So it's really sort of thinking all of the things through to make sure, and that's why we always encourage to have a conversation with us, have a conversation with our resource partners, just to run that gamut, because we can role play in terms of, just tell us what you want to talk to the lender about and give advice, or we can just listen and have them see what they want to say.
Excellent.
What a wonderful education you have give us this morning, and thank you very much, Virginia, because I think what you guys are doing with the Small Business Administration is really touching the essence of what United States is about. It's building that middle class, it's building the power of creating jobs, and thank you for the efforts and everything that you do for our community. And it's an honor to have you here. I'm sure that we'll have any in the future, any visit. Thanks.
Thank you.
Coming up next week on Be Inspired, we'll introduce you to John McKenna, the president and CEO of the Bank of Postale. Hear about his strong connection to the Rochester community. To watch today's episode and the complete interviews of our guests, go to rochesterfirst.com/beinspired. For more great talk with Rochester's entrepreneurs, listen to Poder 97.1, Saturdays at 9 a.m. For Mauricio Riveros, I'm Julio Sáenz. We'll see you next week on Be Inspired.